Bangladesh, a climate change perspective. So here is the background of the study. As we know, Bangladesh is particularly vulnerable to tropical cyclones because in every year there is almost 3 to 4 cyclones in this country. And we know this is because the region is particularly vulnerable to tropical cyclone because of the geographical position. We know there is the Bay of Bengal in the southern portion of Bangladesh, and the climatic condition in this region is very much friendly to produce tropical cyclones. But the scenario is more worse because of climate change, because the associated hazard with tropical cyclones, which are the storm surge risk and the salinity intrusion, these are more worse than because of climate change effects. So, the broader aim of our study is to analyze the evolving vulnerability of Bangladesh to tropical cyclones in the context of changing climatic scenario. And we had three objectives. First is to explore the climatic variability associated with tropical cyclogenesis in the Bay of Bengal. And second is to investigate the vulnerability of Bangladesh to tropical cyclones under this climatic variability. And the third is to review the initiatives and adaptation policies implemented by Bangladesh in response to this vulnerability. So this is the methodological framework of our research. So we have collected the tropical cyclone data from JTWC, which is Joint Typhoon Warning Center, and NDAC, and also the Zoom Earth, which is a live hurricane tracker, and the sea surface temperature data were collected from NASA Ocean Color and NOAA NCEI, and the loss and damage data associated with tropical cyclone in this country are collected from Bangladesh Meteorological Department and World Bank. So the main tools we used to analyze the data were basically Microsoft Excel and ArcMap 10.8, and the major techniques we followed are NetCDF data analysis, trade analysis, and measuring geographic distributions. And the final outputs are in the presentation of maps and graphs. So here is the discussion of our research work. If we look at the first graph, here you can see the temperature scenario, which shows a very accelerating rate with a R-square value of 0.8443, which actually depicts the 84.43% association between the temperature and climatic years events. We have divided the years into 4 climatic years, which is 1901 to 1931, 1931 to 1960, 1961 to 1990, and 1991 to 2020. So in these 4 climatic years, you can see that the temperature shiftment has accelerated. And the second graph, there is the scenario of climatic events that took in these climatic years. In 1901 to 1930, we can see that there were 36 tropical cyclonic events in this region that hit Bangladesh. And in the second climatic year, we can see there is 35 cyclonic events, and the upcoming were the 54 and 44. This shows a trend of 0.3972 R-square value. It means there is 39.72% relationship between the data of tropical cyclonic frequency in this region and with the climatic year. So we can see that the frequency of cyclone has been increased. So this maps for the sea surface temperature data of the Bay of Bengal, and we can see that the continental shelf this remains almost low sea surface temperature, but mainly the northern Bay of Bengal is associated with high sea surface temperature, and this region mainly generate all the climatic conditions to tropical cyclogenesis. So this graph shows, the first one is for low sea surface temperature data. We can see that in the Bay of Bengal in between 2002 and 2022, the low sea surface temperature was 20.64 degrees Celsius to 24.89 degrees Celsius, where the high sea surface temperature was 33.95 degrees Celsius to 37.54 degrees Celsius. As we know, the potential temperature for cyclogenesis in the Bay of Bengal or in sea is above 29 degrees Celsius. So basically, the high sea surface temperature data produce the cyclogenesis events. So this map shows the geographic distributions of tropical cyclones in this region. So we can see that the mean center and median center of tropical cyclones in this region are centered in the northern Bay of Bengal. But the fact is the southeastern coast of Bangladesh and southwestern coast of Bangladesh are particularly vulnerable because these areas covers most of the cyclone hits. So the southeastern region is basically the Cox's Bazar range, and the southwestern coasts are the Sundarban's deltas, Bagherhat, Satkhira, Khulna, Borishal, and Noakhali regions. So if we see the first graph, there is the loss and damage scenario, and it is about the life cost. The people who died because of tropical cyclones in these regions from 1991 to 2023. The data are ascending pattern. So we can see that in 1991, most of the people died because of tropical cyclones, but in 2023, we can see the least death because of tropical cyclones. So we can say that the life cost has been decreased. In the below, the graph shows that the economic loss has been also decreased because we can see that there is a decreasing trend of this economic loss, as the 1985 data shows that there were high economic loss because of tropical cyclones. So actually, we are proposing that there is a lot of improvement in the disaster risk management of Bangladesh. So we are actually becoming more resilient than the past events that were very devastated cyclonic events. But nowadays we are fighting in a very good way. But actually, there is a lot of challenges because of tropical cyclones associated with climate change. So we have to implement a lot of strategies and to continue these initiatives and strategies. That we know there is almost 14,000 cyclone shelters in Bangladesh, but actually a lot of them are under risk because they are damaged. So we have to improve them to become a more resilient population and to fight against tropical cyclones in this country. So our study proposed that to build a more resilient population, there is a need for integration between community, government, and individual to build a more resilient population and become more resilient. Thank you.
I and my co-authors are all from Jahangirnagar University, South Dhaka. Our Dharashiri River is a major river, and in 2017, Bangladesh High Court has a declaration to transport the tannery industries from Old Dhaka to suburb beside Dharashiri River, which is a major concern of us because we have lost Buriganga River and its water quality, and also the tannery industries are relocated beside Dharashiri River, which is a major concern of environmental impact. Our major objectives of our study is water quality assessment of Dharashiri River and environmental impact assessment, and also the health impacts of tannery workers. The methods are laboratory analysis of water quality and sampling, field survey, and questionnaire survey. In the part of resultant discussion, we have some points. The quality of water of Dharashiri River, and we have seen a diagram where the BOD, COD, DO, and EC, and their percentage which are declining, and part of environmental impact, which is mainly focused on soil quality, water quality, and air quality, which is also declining is quality. And the impacts of health are also severe: skin problem, and other diseases, chronic health and other diseases are also high. The future direction of our study also in promoting green chemistry, closed loop water recycling, sophisticated water treatment, and zero liquid discharge. Our study is also ongoing, so this is all from our side. Thank you so much.
So, dear esteemed guest, I am honored to present to you Project Follow, a project that brings hope to the struggling farmer in northern Bengal. This initiative is all about supporting a community deeply connected to farming but facing numerous challenges including poverty. I am Faria Islam from Ki Bangladesh Foundation and I am excited to share with you the transformative journey of Project Follow. North Bengal, we all are aware of its rich agricultural heritage, but do you know that the country's second highest poverty rate is also in North Bengal, which is 24.8%. The vulnerable groups, including agricultural wage laborers, landless and marginal farmers, children, women, elderly, are facing numerous hardships every day due to inequitable landholding, lack of industrial foundation, and not to mention natural disasters. To address these challenges, we initiated a systematic approach to identify those in need and have established 4 key mechanisms to support them. Our primary objective is to use data-driven intervention to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals, specifically targeting no poverty, zero hunger, decent work and economic growth, and climate action. Through this effort, we aim to enhance the living condition and productivity of agricultural-based producers in North Bengal. We use a 2-step survey method to identify vulnerable farmers. First, we conduct a baseline survey in the disaster-prone areas of North Bengal and then an effect analysis study to select the final beneficiaries of our project. Our intervention connects farmers with markets, offer financial aid during cultivation, and provides scientific consultations. Following each batch, project evaluations identify the best practices for growth. We then share these insights with the farmer so that they can use this in the next round and enhance their yield. The impact of Project Follow is truly remarkable. A comparative study between the target and control group revealed an 8% increase in yield and a substantial income rise of 10,000 PDT. Since 2019, we have supported 905 farming households, improving their revenue by an impressive 32%. Looking ahead, we aim to benefit 500 farmers, meaning supporting 2,500 individuals who are underprivileged and disaster-prone. Additionally, we are proposing to develop an app to keep farmers connected online, enabling them to track their progress and to provide them support whenever they need. In conclusion, Project Follow not only serves as a model for achieving sustainable development goals, but it also showcases the power of data-driven, context-based, and scientifically oriented intervention. I believe through this we can uplift communities, improve their financial conditions, and make significant strides for a better, sustainable, and equitable future. So that's all from me. Thank you so much for your attention. Thank you.
Topic for this session is the prioritizing climate change adaptation and nature-based solution in rural Asia. As it's mentioned that I am a founder, one of the founder of Global Forum for Sustainable Rural Development, and we work on the issues related to rural development. So my every concern and issues related to rural areas on maybe little bit biased, but still I will think that it is important because climate change affects everybody, but mostly the rural people are victims. So I am coming to that, and when we are going for this and the solution also local based and nature based solution. So if you go to that rural areas and the rural areas, and I'm not going to the data and other, but it is almost very clear that in Asia, most of the countries, we have, let's say, number of people living in rural areas are more than the urban areas. So what the rural people, the rural communities they are facing, apart from that, basic need of food, shelter, education, of those things will come in different. But as concerned on the matter of issues related to climate change, what will be the major issue? So first, definitely the agriculture, you know that this is the backbone of the rural economy. Directly farming, even the non-farm activities which are related to agriculture. So that because of the change in the climate, when we are talking about the climate change, it is well, numbers of papers are there, numbers of research articles are there. How this climate change is making the uncertainty of the agriculture, and when you make the agriculture, the production all together that thing. So as agriculture-based economy, the farm-based economy, so definitely it is a major problem for the rural community. Even my earlier speakers and other, even the inaugural session also we are discussing. The most of the cases we can found that all the issues related to sustainable development goal, either it's the goal number 1 or goal number 2, on the rural people are mainly is the issue. Then sometimes we used to tell from our forum and from our network that all the SDGs are related to rural. But here the major thing is SDG goal number 1 and SDG goal number 2. This agriculture is Africa. So the fluctuation of the temperature as well as that water all together is making the agriculture ill, and as a result it is going to the threatening food security, which is one of the most important, even SDG goal number 2 is talking about the zero. Second is the water scarcity, the challenge of climate change to the rainfall and resulting water scarcity, both for the livestock as well as irrigation, because the drinking water layer is also that great challenge. Both that's why the water scarcity is one of the biggest challenge, biggest issue when you talk about the climate change and rural community. Third is that extreme weather events. Even sometimes there's a increasing frequency and intensity of events such as floods and droughts disrupt rural economy and infrastructure. It is happening. It is happening across the not only South Asia but also or the Asian countries but also other countries. But when we are focusing in our Asian countries, then it is also important that extreme weather events is happening everywhere. Almost every month we are getting something, either cyclone, either some floods and some landslide. Even when we talk about the India and different parts of India, sometimes if this month is state, another month another states are facing in different way. Either it's a cyclone or the flood or the earthquake or the landslide. It is happening. So the climate change is one of the one part of the corner. It is a heavy rainfall. Another part it is totally drought kind of thing. So that this is one of the extreme event. You know that earlier people used to tell that it is not the water. The rainfall is reduced, but rainfall is uneven. So 2-3 days there sudden rainfall and several things is happening. Fourth is that biodiversity losses. That the changes in climate can threaten the rich biodiversity in rural areas, impacting the ecosystem and the livelihood. So entire thing is facing, but these are the major 4 issues when the challenges faced by rural community. Now, if these are the challenges, even there are many more challenges you can add on that. If you add the dimension of gender, then you will get several dimensions, another dimension. If you add to other indigenous people, they have some specific dimensions of challenges. But the solution lies also that how the nature-based solution you can do. Because as the climatic condition and the weather whatever climate change we are talking, mostly people are discussing it not the machineries and other, but the nature-based solution, how we can go there. So first, these are the few points we can think on that in the session. In the session, other speakers are there. You can talk on that. How that enhances the resilience, ecosystem act as a natural buffer against the extreme event, helping to reduce the impact on community, so that how this ecosystem can be regenerate this way to make a buffer, natural buffer kind of thing. Then second is the sustainable agriculture, nature-based agriculture practices such as agroforestry, conservation of agriculture, promote resilience and sustainability. These are important. Nowadays, even the nature-based farming, even people are coming all over. Earlier, people were talking about the organic farming. Now, even in India, everywhere it is coming as a nature-based farming. So, how we can think for that on those issues that can be addressed? It is not only India or it is not only Bangladesh, but across the Asian countries, the people are slowly moving towards the nature-based agriculture practices. What we earlier used to do, we forgotten all those things and we came to the more mechanical, more pesticides and other things. Now the people are coming back, they are trying to come back to the nature-based agriculture practices. Third is again the water management. Even people that protecting and restoring the natural watershed can improve water availability and quality, which is crucial for rural communities. So water management, even watershed management, how best we can conserve. Even now people are talking on the more the traditional way of doing those things. Even the indigenous knowledge, if we are talking about the indigenous knowledge, how we can learn from that our earlier ancient time or some other practices, we can learn from our indigenous people how to better we can manage our water, how the traditional system can restore the natural watershed. There are a number of even being a student or faculty of rural development, the department, we used to teach a lot of watershed management, how it can be, and numbers of rural, watershed program. But nowadays, people are talking about the community-based watershed management. Mostly, it's important that how they are not only the community will get the ownership and management are very important. How they are knowledge. It is not the knowledge or technique from outside or the agriculture is the scientists they can do. It's a well and good, but it is also important how the traditional knowledge and the water or the natural resource management system, which sometimes if you can learn from the indigenous people. So those things can be more even priority when you are talking about the climate change and climate change adaptation. Another is the biodiversity conservation. Preserving the biodiversity not only maintain the ecosystem, which we are talking that one of the major challenge on the for the climate change for the rural community. The ecosystem health and also support the pollination and pest control in agriculture. You know nowadays in all the vegetable markets and everywhere the pesticide, chemical pesticide, inorganic fertilizer, the chemical fertilizer is coming. So now slowly we are going also maybe in the small way. But sometimes we can also do that happened to the Sri Lanka. It happens that how do the organic farming slowly it made a cause of food insecurity itself. So there is a lot of controversy, the debate on those issues. But the thing is, how judicially we can meet this scientific conservation pattern and natural conservation pattern. So these are important. We are talking about the biodiversity conservation. Say, and last is the carbon sequestration, which the forest conservation and deforestation contribute the carbon. Even in the initial speech in the inauguration, we told that nowadays people are looking for the bamboo. One of the major reasons it can be that bamboo is very natural growing in all the South Asian, all the Asian countries, even the African countries, even the Australian, sometimes even European and America also. That the bamboo can be think on the better way. Right? It's not only for the handicraft product or another, but nowadays bamboo is playing a big role for this carbon sequestration. So those kinds of nature-based solutions we have to think for when we are talking about the climate change adaptation. Even the local data adaptation strategy, how this local people, because their knowledge, their system can be restored, their system can be preserved, their system can be preserved from, and that can be disseminated from one country to another country. That's why it's a good network of research among the South Asian countries. And that research is not only that the community-based research, community-led research, the local-led research is, that's why we're coming to the next in the policy session. But as much as possible in community engagement, inclusive decision making process that incorporates local knowledge and priorities, which is very, very important. But second thing is, I will request all of you, please go that more investment of the capacity building of all the local people who for when we are talking about the climate change adaptation, but the capacity building or the participatory capacity building is important to learn from the local community and also to improve their existing knowledge. So how this we can mix these two together. It is not a one-way capacity building that will from outside will incorporate some knowledge and skills and it will happen. Rather, it will be two-way communication how we can go better. I'm sure a lot of extension workers who are working in this field, they should believe on this, that providing community as a tool and knowledge to implement sustainable practice and adaptive method. Third is the technology transfer. That's why we are talking about these kinds of network. It's a require these kinds of seminar, workshop as much as possible so that learn from each country to another country. That's why it is not the confined within one country, but rather other South Asian country or Asian countries should exchange and share the knowledge. And accordingly, the transfer of knowledge is very important. Then another important when we are talking of the local adaptation, investment on infrastructure. So developing climate resilient infrastructure to withstand extreme weather event and support. And nowadays even it is coming the exchange of weather that condition, how that we can get some information and then it can be shared to other countries, so that people are talking about the development cooperation among each other. So development cooperation, different countries, the regional cooperation among the countries to this weather and the climate issues, which is very, very important. And it goes to the last, this will be my last slide, considering the times and other. So four issues related to policy consideration. First is the integrated policy. So developing comprehensive policies that integrate climate change, considering agriculture, water, land use planning. So whenever we are even nowadays, even in our country, India, when we are coming as a livelihood and other things, we are talking about the how best we can address to sustainable other green livelihood, even the green engineering. So everywhere that the green word is coming in a better way, that it is coming even the corporate sector, the ESG models are coming, lot of ESGs are coming. You know that environment and social government. So earlier it was a corporate social responsibility, now the corporate sector are also coming to the ESG. So when we are talking about this is not the climate change, it is a separate policy will take it. Climate change should be the part and parcel of when we are considering the policy of agriculture, water and land use planning. Basically, these are the three important aspects when we are talking about the rural communities as a whole. Second is the financial support, allocating funds to support community-led adaptation initiative and nature-based project, and which sometimes it's whenever there is a climate change issue, the most of the countries they are facing the same issue is the financial support. So how to get that? So climate finance, lot of talking is going on across the world, and there is always a gap. There is always a debate between the developing countries and developed countries to minimize this gap. But the financial support, sometimes we are coming in India, lot of planning is going on, and where sometimes it's coming no cost or low cost model that we can convergence with the others. You may not get directly the fund for the climate, but how we best you can convert with other activities so that but we can address to the point. Say for example, earlier we had a program, till we have a program. That program is called Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act, which is the major objective was to create 100 days wage employment for the rural people as well as also to be a rural asset. But now this program is considered not only to create wage employment, but this is coming as a part of the disaster management. You are making the ponds and other thing, but how this pond can be properly maintained or developed so that it can reduce when the effect of flood. So even in Tripura, where I am saying people are making, I mean, one district they have taken the initiative to making 500 ponds in the cluster in and around of the Howrah River, so that when there is a flood, sudden flood due to climatic conditions, these ponds can help to reduce the effect of the flood and so natural calamities and the damage to the livestock and the casualties. So it is not taking that it is only wage employment program. Rather now it is taking as a part of the disaster management on the addressing the climate change. So that's why I am telling that a convergence of fund and the planning the climate change is not the differently planned, but it is important how we can integrate those plans. Third, definitely this forum, this network and this forum and this seminar, which is going to be the research and data collection. So as much as possible, the exchange of the data and the research articles, topics, and the different types of research can be exchanged among the regional thing. It is not only the climate issues, not only problem for Bangladesh, not only problem for Sri Lanka, not only problem for India or other. Rather, it is a regional thing. That's why it's important as much as possible cross-country data sharing, cross-country research, even the different models of research, the climate change related and related to livelihood and other. That can be the cross-country. Some action research could be done in this area. And that's why we have to go for the international collaboration. International collaboration among the organization, among the countries, neighboring countries, as I mentioned, the climate change never the issue of any boundary, any country or any region. That's why it's important as much as possible collaboration with the international organization among the different neighboring countries. But also it is important how we can link with not only the international collaboration, but how we test, we can involve the local level institution, with the local government. I will emphasize on this issue, more the capacity building of the local government institution and help us. So with this, let me stop here. If you have any question, we can share or we can discuss on this issue. Otherwise, I am looking forward to the other speaker of the same session. And now over to chair. Thank you very much.
Everyone know about the farm farming technology, what actually it means for. So using about the technology in the farming sector, in agriculture sector, different types of, because it's basically avoid about the, understand about the how we are harvesting about the crop, someone it understand about the efficiency of the crop, monitor every, not only monitoring about the crop finances, but also it monitor about the animals position where it stays. We use a drone agriculture type of agriculture, we use a robotics in this one, because the technology is developing by the by the time, the development takes making about a revolution and innovation in particular sectors. Even agriculture, see, when compared to the India has the most people are working in agriculture sector. Most about the 50% or above the people are working in agriculture sector, and the 60% of people are directly or indirectly dependent on agriculture sector. So it is in India, particularly agriculture sector is most important. And see, sir, I'm actually working about the sustainable agriculture. Basically, it's in comparative study of intensive and conservative farms. I'm also particularly it is about my PhD study, sir. And in my PhD, I want analyzing what actually the sustainable agriculture factors and how they are managing this. Because in a sustainable development goals in the second is one of the topic is about the sustainable agriculture. We had not about that only, sir. In the 12 and 15 also we have managing the soil. Very important that because every person need a food. To manage with this, we have to sustain our land. So that is a basic important topic, and this smart farming technology is one of my subtopic, and for this my colleagues also worked on this. My friend of Sudhir also worked on this one, sir. So and next, basic introduction. Everyone will know what actually the smart farming technology, how we have to adopting, and what is the reliance of adopting this one, and what is the support of the government, and what is the technology using to maintain the sustainable agriculture, and what are the networks, and what are the factors that affecting the sustainable agriculture. We are understanding particular research study. We have conducted the research study in Chernagaon Mandal of in Telangana state, one of the mandal, about the 100 of the farmers we have verified about the study, sir, and we have collected the data from them directly through the field observation. Not only about the collect the data, we have made an interview schedule to the interviewer. We have understood a lot of the aspects about how they practicing and what are the basic effects of the intensive farming combination of the smart farming technology. And since we use different types of techniques in the smart farming, there's some of the drones, precision farming software, IoT, Internet of Things, and GPS technology, automated machinery, robotics, and forecastings. Farm management softwares and livestock monitoring system, blockchain technologies, and also we have some illustration about the how we adopt the farming and what are the effects and what are the defects also about the farming technologies, and what are the basic things about the and a farmer who represents about the weather, insurance, seeds, commodities, machineries. We know, sir. See, when we asked about one farmer regarding about this, how you sell your product to a farmer. There is a one app-based system. Through that app-based system, the particular farmer can monitor every day what is the rate of the particular product for this day. So it is a system, not only the farmers who are know about the technology, how to implement in the agriculture sector, but also by sitting in the home, they can monitor every day what actually happening in the field. Even they can put a CC cameras also to see if in a particular rural areas we see a lot of animals will come to the farm and then make some disturbance in the farm. Then even they can monitor the things also by these things. So basically, my background of study is about the increasing the productivity of sustainable agricultural practice, how the smart farming technology will works, and what is the merits and demerits of the smart farming technology, in particular sustainable, to improve the sustainable agriculture in the farmers. Perspective. I see my objective is to examine and develop the effect of smart farming technology on small farmer holders. Because particularly, sir, I have taken for this study, maximum 70% of the people are from the farmers are from small farmers. They have only the name of the 4 acres of the land. Because we have to understand the ground level analysis only through from the farmers who have less land. Because they cultivate, they will understand actually major families what are affecting over them. And not only that, we will understand about the quality of the man, quality and profitability of overall management of this farmer sectors. Through this objective, we understood a lot of things. And see, sir, I said before that we have taken 100 samples from Chernagaon Mandal, and we asked this particular questions like how smart farming technology used, what the benefits and backdrops, what the sources of smart farming technology, information of training, and what is the impact. These are the main 4 important things we designed our interview schedule to understand. And not only we are interpreted this data in a SPSS system to make analysis in very comparably, very descriptively for this particular question. And the results as you said, the group basically by this result we can understand this group. Most the young people are interested to participate in the smart farm because we know, sir, now the young generations are more educated generation, they will understand about agriculture or everything. So now also by through understanding this study we understood that most of the people who are young generation between below the 45 years are most interested to adopt the smart farming technology. And income levels, sir. See, before I said, sir, we basically investigated only the small farms, and they have only income capacity between 51% of farmer between per only with agriculture basis, sir. Not other earnings are not combined this one. Only we combine through the agriculture per annum. A farmer earning 1 lakh, 2 lakh, 51%. Others 6% are between the 4 lakhs to 5 lakhs, and below the 5 lakhs, and above the 2 lakhs. And then the holding also, sir, the 72% of farmers are holding about below the 4 lakhs land, 4 acres of land. Only see, sir, only see we inquired about only the the person who are the 2% of people who have the 10 to 15 acres of a land. So basically our objective is to understand the small farmers issues on what the adaptation is. And we understood that what are the basic innovative technology they adopted, the particular how they're using the synthetic fertilizers, the crop management. And we have received a lot of positive things. And since our analysis involved comparing the mean and median also. We analysis the median, what is the basic perception of these farmers, how they implementing, what are the technology they using in the farms, and how they conducting and how they practicing every day. Because the farmers people are there, people already I said that the young people are basically adopted this technology and they were most interested and they know about how to use about the technology, how they implement about the technology in everyday life compared to the older farmers. Even the older farmers are much better experienced in the fielding, but now the young generation are using the technology. And see the majority of farmers using technology advancement, they shorten the harvesting time also. So the robotic technology, they're using the machineries. In my particular Jalgaon area, they have a water sources, irrigation sources, have a dams, and for a season, for every year, they cultivating from 3 times. They're harvesting from the 3 times of paddy, and they're getting much benefits from it. But there is a question that about the sustainability of soil because they are using excessive fertilization, excessive resources of chemicals, pesticides. But the sustainability is losing a basic natural fertility of a soil over there. So here remain questions that we have to protect our natural fertility. Whenever you are using the excessive chemical fertilizers, automatically the water resources have been damaging, not only the surface sources but also the groundwater sources and air pollution also, as well as the particular farmers also affecting to the chemical pollution. And they are, most of the people are also we are seeing this effects. Okay, and the 72% of people said that new technology is responsible to also improve the biodiversity. How it improve the question? Because they only understood that it improves the biodiversity, but majorly when we are inquiring the depth, the no farmers has given this answer for it. How to improve the biodiversity? The only question is that 72% of people have said that we improve the biodiversity, but actual question is that anyone cannot say how to improve the biodiversity. So there is a major questions are there. We have to focus upon the questions also. By this we can already not only smart farming, we understanding the farmers, how they understanding, how they preparing, how they practicing. In depth we have to understand. And 82% of the respondents stated that using chemical fertilizers excessively to tail the water. Yes, it's tail, but the farmers don't know how it tails. Even the farmers did not know what is actually the riparian buffer, how to protect the soil erosion. There is a lot of us we use in Western countries. There is riparian buffers which protect the soil, protect the lose of excessive minerals to the water bodies.
Thanks to everybody. I'm very much thankful to Honorable Chair, Abu Sadat Management sir, for giving me permission to lead this discussion. Due to some limitations, I have another engagement. So actually I feel honored and also delighted to be a part of this prestigious South Asian Conference 2023. And actually, honorable chairs and other discussions will discuss about the local aid adaptations in details. So please accept my acknowledgement for the meeting. Thank you so much.
From the morning, everyone is going to hear a same thing is that Bangladesh is a disaster-prone country because of its geographical and topological situation, and also the coastal belt is the most vulnerable area of this country. In that coastal belt, the cyclone shelter is the structural infrastructure for the vulnerable people, and the affected community mainly seems that the area of that vulnerability goes towards the cyclone shelter at that community level and at that hazardous time. So the background of the study is Bangladesh maximum hazard comes from the cyclone, and cyclone the coastal belt of Bangladesh is much vulnerable for that cyclone activity. And the poor residents during the disaster period, maximum vulnerability moves towards the women. At the last area of discussion, we used to hear that the women are mostly vulnerable at the cyclone time and the hazardous time. So I have broken down at that area, and the gender-based violence, because and limit access to crucial supplies, impact the health and well-being, and low facilities makes the vulnerability of the women, and that counts the gender-based vulnerability. So my objective of the study, the overall objective is to identify and reduce the vulnerability of women in cyclone shelter in coastal belt during the catastrophic event. And the specific objectives are three. Those are to evaluate the current gender-based vulnerability and risk in Bangladesh cyclone shelter, and also to identify specific hardness and problems they are facing, and provide the recommendation for that situation. So my methodology is basically I am doing the qualitative research, and maximum of that data is from the primary data. And the data is taken by the Transit Work Questionnaire Survey, FGD-KII, and also some interviews. And my sampling technique is simple based sampling, and also I have taken some data from the literatures. And my margin of error is 5% and 90% of the confidence level, and the 50% population proportion with the statistic of census 2011 of Hatia Upazila. And there are 15 FGDs at the local community people, 5 FGDs from the government and non-governmental organization personnel, and also 10 KIS from the governmental bodies of the Upazila Parishad, and also 20 KIS at the local community personnel. So the methods I have followed, the GDDRR, Gender Dynamics of Disaster Risks and Resilience Framework. It's basically came from the World Bank Group report, and it's financed by the GFDRR, which is Gender Facility for Disaster Risk Reduction and Recovery. And also it makes the dynamics of gender influenced by the disaster. In that orange circular area, it means the hazard type or its severity, exposure, vulnerability, preparedness, and ability to handle the disaster. And the purple area, purple color, is the gender inequality arise at the social role, affecting the socio-economic status and disaster preparedness and recovery. And when these two mix up with it, the maroon area is the factors causing the disaster impacts and influenced by the gender dynamics. Here are the four area of factors that are exposure, vulnerability, preparedness, and coping capacity. Mainly, different disaster effects can worsen gender imbalance and making the recovery from the future disaster harder. So these are the methods for my research, and if I come to the result and discussion, firstly I want to say that this research is now also, it hasn't completed yet, it's ongoing, and till now I have found it that with the KII and FGDs, from the local chairman and local youth leaders say that just the cyclone shelter condition is perfect. They are saying that it's okay, but the Coastal Forest Department of Bangladesh official says that some cyclone shelters are usable at the emergency situation, but the Sub-Assistant Agriculture Officer says that most of the cyclone shelters condition is not good for the women, because of some problems. And when we got to know from the local perception, we saw that women don't want to go the shelter for their security related issue, and also because of not having the proper hygiene facilities, they are not want to go there. And also women of that area are not want to go there because of their keen to save their properties than their lives. So that's an interesting one. Until now, I have got these types of data from that community. If I conclude my presentation, I want to say some recommendation till the result, and there should be gender and age specific data which can be used in the area specifically studies, which can create the recommendation and solution at that area. Also some gender responsive advocacy planning or gender responsive activities which can incorporate the local perception and local community to solve that problem, and also the recovery and restoration of livelihood, what they have lost at that hazard time, and lastly raising the awareness to the community. So these are my reference. Thank you everyone.
I feel honored to be here today to present my research in front of all of you in this prestigious First Foundation conference. The title of my research is Floating Wave, a study on the impact of transboundary river water pollution on the adjacent community. And the name of my supervisor is Dr. Rashid, Professor, Department of Sociology, National Awareness, Asset Plaza University. Now let's delve into the heart of this issue. Okay. So here you can see the map of Bangladesh, a country crisscrossed by 230 rivers, among them 58 are transboundary rivers. And transboundary rivers means those rivers which are transit across the different border of different countries. Okay. The water quality of these rivers are degrading day by day, which affecting the livelihood of the adjacent community of these rivers. We know that SDG 6 advocates for clean water and sanitation for all. So in this presentation, we will explore the experiences of adjacent community and the transboundary river water pollution. So, being a downstream country, Bangladesh faces challenges like water scarcity, pollution, and displacement from upstream activities. These challenges make life of the river adjacent community difficult, especially river water pollution. According to Nathanson, water pollution involves the release of substance into water bodies, interfering the beneficial use and natural ecosystem. This transboundary impacts not only affect the natural ecosystem, but also the social and economic life of the river adjacent community. After that, you can see the study area of my research. This is in Pilpiganj, Panchgor, Bangladesh, in the back of the river corridor, which is one of the transboundary river. So we have selected this study area because of the proximity and the availableness. After that, this is the objective of my research. The general objective of my research is to investigate the transboundary impact and community perspective on river water pollution of Corridor River in Panchgor. To achieve this, we have three specific objectives. Those are to observe the awareness about source of river water pollution of adjacent community, to explore the impact of river water pollution on adjacent community, and to examine the perception and practices of the adjacent community to mitigate river water pollution. After that, we have two theories. Those I used to frame my research. First one is Anthropocene, which Anthropocene is the concept that poses that human activities have become a dominant force shaping Earth's geographical and environmental process. It is marked by intensified globalization and leading to increased economic activities and transboundary pollution. And another one is extremism, which relates the operation and domination of all marginalized groups, like women, people of color, children, for the operation or domination of nature, like animals, land, water, air, etc. Moving for methodology, we followed a qualitative research method, adopting insurgent approach to address power imbalance and prioritize the voices of the marginalized communities. And purpose is something implied for data interview, and sample size was determined by data saturation level, and we emphasize this quantity over the quantity. And in-depth interviews in the form of testimonial used to capture the diverse community perspective, and the collected data was analyzed thematically. And from the whole research, we have maintained the research ethics like informed consent, no harm policy, and anonymity. After that, now let's discuss the findings of our research. So the polluted water contains plastics and dead animals, which are affecting the fish health and water quality. And the traditional livelihoods of fishing and agriculture becoming unsustainable. And economic losses for fishermen, increased vulnerability, and the need for alternative livelihoods like day labor and small businesses. And the pollution sources, including the waste from India, negatively affecting the water's usability for household necessities, and decline in fish stocks impacting food security and livelihoods too, and declining water quality and fish stocks forcing communities to migrate, and indigenous communities forced to reconsider the traditional practices which eroding the cultural heritage of their own. And in conclusion, I can say that the transboundary river pollution in coastal Bangladesh is a complex issue disrupting livelihood and cultural traditions, and fishermen's occasional migration triggered by the declining fish stocks and affecting not only income but also societal stability and risking the loss of cultural heritage. And this impacts in hampering the country to achieve SDG 6. And finally, we extend our gratitude to all the individuals of the Edison community to live on North and Portugal, Bangladesh for their participation and valuable insights. Without their participation, this study wouldn't have been possible. And these are the references on which our study is grounded in. That's all. Thank you for your kind attention. Now I welcome the question and discussion if you may have.
The title of my study is Contrasting Responses of Fluorescence Dissolved Organic Matter to the Salinity Gradient Due to Upcoming Global Warming. So, climate change is the most common word nowadays. Climate change is an implication of global warming. Global warming results in unexpected weather change. For example, melting glaciers, raised ocean temperatures, rises sea level. And excessive water level in sea promotes saltwater intrusion in coastal areas. And you know, in Bangladesh, almost 32% of the area belongs to coastal region. So now get introduced with my main topic, my main study topic, DOM and FDOM. What is DOM? DOM refers to organic matter, dissolved organic matter fraction in solution that pass through 0.45 millimeter filter membrane. It is considered as one of the most sensitive indicators of changes overlapping in the soil environment. It is the most mobile and active soil components, serving as an easily available sources of nutrients and energy for microbes and living organisms. It plays an important role in many chemical and biological processes in soil. And all DOM are not FDOM. The DOM that shows fluorescence properties termed as FDOM. FDOM property shows significant fluorescence efficiency at particular excitation emission wavelength. Can be characterized them by identifying different peak position at particular wavelength. So there are a number of studies took place on DOM. One study found that green fertilizer and biochar could increase the DOM content in soil ecosystem. Another study revealed that DOM content of wetland soils varied with season and soil depth while structure was stable. Previous studies focused in inland soil DOM and explored the role of human factors in forest, farmland, grassland, where DOM contents in soil can be affected by land use management, such as fertilization, tillage, organic amendments, changes to vegetation cover. And recent studies have found that seawater can change the DOM composition. In other countries, effect of salinity on DOM have been shown, but in our countries there are limited work on this topic. So I chose to study with the topic. And the main objectives of my study is to characterize the FDOM components in different concentration of salinity by using emission excitation matrix by parallel factor model, to determine the changes of FDOM components and intensities due to increasing salinity with different extraction of time. Here is my methods and methodology. Firstly, we collect the soil and prepare the soil sample. Then we made artificial seawater. We made artificial seawater by following the formula which published in a popular journal. The salts we are used in our artificial saline water are sodium chloride, magnesium chloride, sodium sulfate, calcium chloride, potassium chloride, sodium bicarbonate, and sodium metasilicate. 41.9% salt contains, assuming density of water in 1 gram per milliliter. Then soil samples were examined to assess the soil DOM components based on their fluorescence. Mainly 3 components, humic acid-like, fulvic acid-like, and protein-like fluorophore were identified by parallel factor analysis of excitation imitation matrix spectra in various percentage of artificial saline water. As you can see in my result and discussion, we have identified different concentration components of FDOM components in different concentration of salinity. In 0% saline water, where we don't use any saline water, it means it's only deionized water, we found 3 components which are humic acid like humic acid like fulvic acid like M type, humic acid like A type, and protein like fluorophores. In 25% saline water, we found 4 components: humic acid like, fulvic acid like 2 types, fulvic acid like C, and fulvic acid like M type, and protein like fluorophore. But in 50% of saline water, we found 3 components: humic acid, fulvic acid M type, and protein like fluorophore. And in our 100% saline water, we found 4 components in excitation imitation matrix, like humic acid like component, fulvic acid like component C type, fulvic acid like component M type, and protein like fluorophores. We have diluted our artificial saline water with different types of salinity, like 0%, 25%, 50%, and 100%. Now you can see fluorescence intensity of different FDOM components in different concentration of salinity for humic acid-like substances. Here you can see we comparison the 0% saline water with 25% saline water. As you can see, fluorescence intensity increases with the level of salinity. 0 to 25%, 0 to 50%, and 0 to 100% here, as you can see. For fulvic acid-like substance, we got the same results. Fluorescence intensity increases with the time and with the salinity. And also for protein like fluorophore, we have the same results. Now we see, we wanted to see the changes of fluorescence intensity of different components with respect to duration of extraction. For 0% artificial salinity, we can see for humic acid-like substances that it shows in 1 hour duration fluorescence intensity is more than fluorescence intensity in 3 hours more than in 1 hour duration, and in 6 hours it again decreases. And for fulvic acid-like substance, we can see that in 3 hours fluorescence intensity began to rise, and in 6 hours it's remain unchanged. And for the same results found with for 25% artificial saline water, for 50% artificial saline water, and 100% artificial saline water. So another similar study illustrates that dium contains highest in saline soil, and the fluorescence intensity of peak has no obvious change rule with the increase of soil salinity. In our study, we found that fluorescence intensity increases with the level of salinity. And also we can see that fluorescence intensity was highest at 3 hour duration of extraction time for 0%, 50% and 100% artificial seawater. But at 25% it has shown that fluorescence intensity was high at 1 hour duration of extraction time. From 6 hour duration of extraction time, fluorescence intensity was begun to decrease because of the more contact with the saline water with soil. More its fluorescence dissolved matter began to become soluble, and fluorescence intensity decreases. So we can conclude that by this result that we discovered that DSM contains highest in saline soil. 4 types of abdium components were detected in different level of salinity. Secondly, fluorescence intensity increases with the level of rising salinity for a certain period of time. In our study, it was for 1 hour to 3 hours, but in 6 hours it decreases. So in 6 hours it decreases because because of the extraction time. From 1 to 3 hours, the fluorescence intensity was increasing because the soil dium was not breakable. And after 6 hours duration of extraction time, fluorescence dissolved organic matter began to more soluble, and maybe it gone to the groundwater and promotes in contamination of groundwater, or either it may flush out from the soil by rain or another surface water runoff. So we suggest our extraction duration of extraction time to 12 hours to 24 hours, so that we can find many important findings. So it can concluded that salinity level has certain effect on soil abdium properties, but it cannot change the fluorescence intensity for short period of time saline water contact with the soil. And I like to thank Special Allocation Fund, Ministry of Science and Technology, Bangladesh, for helping us. And here is my reference.
It is South Asian Conference on Unfolding Emerging Issues in the Context of Changing Climate Scenario. But it is not only climate, it covers to some extent the environmental issues as well. But regarding climate and this session generally to local adaptation, particularly highlight adaptation. I'm not sure why the people are diverse location. Okay. In fact, you know you are attending this seminar. The ultimate cause of climate change is the greenhouse gas emission. It is mainly carbon dioxide, methane, and nitrous oxide. Actually, for the last 200 years, excessive emission of greenhouse gas, that's why the temperature is rising, globe is warming, sea level rises, and ultimately it impacts on our flood, drought, cyclone, storm surge, this and that, and impacts our sectors. Agricultural sector, water, livelihood, health, infrastructure, so many. And it impacts our socially, economic growth, it impacts on marginalized people, it impacts on vulnerable people. This is the overall scenario and the cause and impacts of climate change. But we are living in a position that we are the victim impact. If you go to the global scenario, that still we are LDC, least developed country. The least developed countries altogether emit 4% of the global emission because we are not industrialized. We are emitting not too much. And total African continent, they are emitting 3% of the global emission. That means global emission mainly from the developed countries, European Union, USA, Australia, Canada, something like that. But we are feeling the impacts of climate change. Our issue is to some extent very basic. We have to survive and we have to develop ourselves. Not only develop ourselves, we have to make our sustainable development. In that case, adaptation is very important. Adaptation is adjustment with the climate change impacts. Now adaptation is diverse. But here focusing local adaptation. In fact, we are saying now adaptation. The climate change impacts us all over the country. Almost all the countries are vulnerable. Sometimes I feel we don't need to say climate change adaptation. We have to integrate climate change impact in such a way in our development. Why we are saying that? Because we have to address especially on that. Otherwise, I think every work, every development, every kind of work, we need to think on climate change impacts. Otherwise, it might not be helpful for the vulnerable, but it might not be sustainable. Because climate is changing. It doesn't mean that it will not change after 20, 30 years, it will not change. Changing and changing exponentially. In an increasing trend changing. So we have to think on that. In that perspective, local land is very important, no doubt. For example, we have vulnerable areas in flood-prone area, drought, cyclone, and storm surge-prone area. We have hilly areas. That's all vulnerable. Even cities are vulnerable. In every case, why it is important local land? You need science, you need data, you need future projection to get information on modeling study, what is going to happen after 10, 20 years, everything important. You need policy support as well. But you also need to know the situation, the need of the local people. That is important. And again, we need technology, this and that. That is important. But you cannot ignore the indigenous knowledge, local knowledge. Because if you don't go there, they will try by themselves to survive. And they are doing that. That means they have some kind of knowledge. And some knowledge is very important. It might not, we don't know, might not be, but we may impose something else that might not be suitable for them. So technology, local technology, indigenous technology, the modern technology, projection of everything, to accommodate everything is very important. Sometimes we say ecosystem-based adaptation, nature-based solution. Actually everything, gender-based solution, everything is important. That's why I'm saying Local level is not the issue. Issue is we have to integrate everything in our development, not only local knowledge. Everything we have to. I was the keynote speaker, Mr. John Dutu, said some important issues. Particularly, he said on collaboration among the countries. I think in that case, I think he particularly highlighted the water issue. Actually, we are facing so much for water. Because I'm working in some vulnerable areas, everywhere water is an issue. Even plant-prone area, Salon, obviously they don't have enough drinking water. In drought, in some periods, even fuel is not working. Even semi-deep table is not working. And in plant, everywhere water. For solving this problem, we have to be careful and conservative of water, but transboundary water solution, very important for us. Even the getting knowledge, advanced knowledge on forecasting, when flood is coming, when flash flood is coming, the advanced period, how can we prepare themselves, and data sharing among ourselves, very important for both India and Bangladesh as well. Because China is another country, so collaboration among China, India, Bangladesh and other countries, Nepal, very important for ensuring our water security. And another actually, I think that Mr. Nurul Kademi is here. Say we already got the 6th assessment report. For getting the knowledge of country perspective, you should go to the document of NAP, National Adaptation. This is very recent. You will get our vulnerability, our adaptation options, what is suitable. And if you want to get international flavor on adaptation, you should go to the ICC 6 assessment. And there are other reports as well. 1.5, 2 degree, climate change and soil, climate change and cryosphere. There are so many international standard documents. In a seminar symposium, you can get some kind of research findings. That's fine. That's important. And as Professor Mirza is here, I should say the 7th assessment report is going to be started. I hope the teachers, students should participate on that assessment report. They should be writer, they should be author, they may give some kind of comments, even if they're enough capable, they may be lead author or coordinating author. I think in that respect, maybe the people don't know, they may not be the best. In that case, I think they need few global standard or publication in some international journal. When I see the names of the people in the author list, I found very, very little people from Bangladesh compared to other countries, even from African countries. India, obviously, there are lots of people. But from Bangladesh, I think as I'm talking Dhaka University, the people from Dhaka University should. And another case, actually IPCC desperately wants to get people from LDC, from vulnerable countries. There is not enough representation from the vulnerable countries. So it is needed, and if we want to get some kind of our engagement in the global, I think we should do it. And another actually for getting enough information on adaptation. There is a very good document on United Nations Environment Program. It's called Adaptation Gap Report. Then you will get the scenario of global scenario. What kind of adaptation is going on? What is the gap? How much financing is needed? How much financing is generated? And another important document is emission gap report. That means we are telling repeatedly 1.5 degree, 2.5, but what is it, how we are going forward, is it practical, what is going on, you will get every kind of scientific information from that. Why I am telling this? If you consult these documents, then you can think to write a very fundamental paper on climate change linked with the local scenario. And that is very important for us, for making some kind of professional findings on Bangladesh situation. In fact, I may be in this detailing this and that, but I hope this kind of activities, seminar will continue, and particularly the young people should come forward, and I think they should have some kind of ambition to play a role in national level, policy level, as well as an international level. I think there is some opportunity international level as well. So thank you very much, and thank you, Chair, to give me some.
I'm basically practitioners. In my life, I spent many of those years for research. But now I want to see from the ground. Because one of my friends is presented cyclone shelter presentation. If I ask, is there anyone staying one night in a cyclone shelter during cyclone? Maybe not. If you stay there, you can realize it's not even a horror movie more than that. I know many people. I'm from Prague. We are working at the ground. When they moved to cyclone shelter, at the last hour, I talked to a woman. She was running with her 3 kids, 1-year-old, 2-year-old, and 3-year-old. Her husband is taking the cows and all the important materials 2.5 kilometers. When they reached in the shelter, women found one of her child gone. We never know. Anyone who's staying at that cyclone shelter in their life, they become a doctor or engineer. I didn't see a single person in my life. Their life is completely different. From now, especially Bragg, we started resilient housing. It means that the person will stay at their home and they give some space for other neighbors. It's like their own house. We never go to any shelter in Dhaka who live in this city or even in the small town. We all stay in our home because all houses are resilient. We should think from their perspective. Yes, smart farming, our friend, they give a really good example. If we get sick, we used to go to hospital, or clinic. Am I right? What about our farmer? Our land, if they get sick, where these people will go? Do they have any hospital for their soil, for their crops? Bragg started adaptation clinic. If your land gets sick, please come to us. We have a Krishi doctor. We have mobile clinic because women, for them it's not possible to go to the city or even Upazila to learn something. So that's why our adaptation clinic went to their house, door by door, so that women can get direct benefits from them. And not only that, one journalist come from New York Times. She made my life miserable. She asked thousands of questions. Why your farmer that they didn't grow like in this particular land last 75 years? I said, because of saline water. So why they started sunflower right now? Because we provided this seed. It's a resilient seed. They have to wait for 75 years. We should work from the ground. Research is also important. But like those who are practitioners, we are in a difficult situation. We cannot connect the policy language into the ground. It's very difficult. You started with indigenous knowledge, then you started participative rural appraisal, then community-based adaptation, now locally led adaptation. It's very complicated for the local people. We need a simple language so that people can understand. So, thank you again, young people. I really liked the presentation. It's a first presentation, and thank you again, my friend, Center for People and Environment, for inviting me. And again, for Honorable Sadiq sir, always I respect him. If you want or learn anything about climate change, especially negotiation, please talk to this person. He is the most knowledgeable person in Bangladesh. That is for sure. Thank you so much.